Today's meditation comes from Revelation chapter 18. King Nebuchadnezzar, 605 BC to 562 BC, he ruled the Babylon. He defeated the entire world. He made the Babylon is a great nation. He diverted the Euphrates around the kingdom so that the enemies will not able to attack it. He made the massive walls. And we can notice the Babylonians' walls are 300 feet tall, 80 feet wide. The entrance gate he made with a strong bronze gate so that nobody will be break it. So around this Euphrates river, inside this river, he put the terrible crocodiles so that nobody will be able to come close to that. On top of the walls, all the time, the soldiers were there to look after their enemies. Now, my dear believers, the king Nebuchadnezzar was thinking the Babylon is going to remain forever, because he made such a way that nobody was a day to attack the Babylon. But King Belshazzar was ruling 539 BC. The Medo-Persians were surrounded the Babylon. When they were surrounded this Babylon, the Nebuchadnezzar and his army, they were not bothering it. They were continuing their work as usual, because they believes nobody can able to defeat this Babylon. In fact, the Cyrus army, they block all the way to get the provision inside the palace. But the Babylonians has a 20 long years prohibition will be there. Even 20 long years, they stop anything else, they can able to survive it. Because Nebuchadnezzar such a great way built it. In the Babylon, we can see 953 idol temples were there. Their main god, Marduk, his idol was 18,000 cases of gold. Can you imagine how much gold they had it? The Babylonians, what the gold they had more than the rest of the world. The King Belshazzar and his army, every day like some parties they were celebrating when the enemies were outside their palace. They did not bother. The history tells us those who were there on the massive walls, they were throwing the food on the Cyrus army. And they are teasing them. When they were having as a great feast, the king Belshazzar invited all the princes, all the royal officials, and the wise man. Everybody was gathered. They drank the wine like water. They were committing adultery. They were doing all kind of evil things. So the same day, Cyrus decided, this is the day we can be able to defeat the Babylonians. He diverted the Euphrates river. So the soldiers was noticed the water level was going down. But still the Babylonian soldiers, they did not bother it. They were in the full of party mode. They drank the wine. They were enjoying it. After they drank and they were doing all kind of evil things, King Belshazzar commanded to his servants, go and bring the golden and silver vessel which my grandfather bought from the Jerusalem temple. He wanted to show nothing is sacred for him. He wanted to prove he is the great. They drank and they were doing all kind of idol worship and they were doing all kind of evil things. According to the king's command, they bought the gold and silver vessels from the God's temple. They drank the wine into that. Do you think they don't have any other vessels? They had enough gold, they had enough bronze, everything is there. But they wanted to show nothing is sacred. They were trying to mock the living God. So during that time, the bloodless hand came and wrote on the wall, many, many tekel peril. So many tekel peril means many means your kingdom, God has numbered it. Your kingdom is going to be ended. Tekel means the God has numbered and your unrighteous, God has seen your unrighteousness. Tekel means the God is divided your kingdom between the Medes and Persians. Nobody was able to read. Nobody was able to explain. But Daniel revealed this, what it was written. Outside the palace, the Cyrus was ready to break the bronze gates. He was ready to defeat the Babylonians during that night. So when they entered into the Euphrates river, the water level was below the knees. When the water level was below the knees, the crocodile will not be there. They aramsey walked to defeat break the great bronze gates. Surprisingly, they noticed the gates were open, the soldiers were sleeping. The Cyrus and his army, they went inside the palace. They slain the king Belshazzar. Only one man they killed. They did not have the great war. And without war, the Medo-Persians got victory. Belshazzar believed the massive was. Belshazzar believed his great army. Belshazzar believed the technology what he had it. The Belshazzar believed what the prohibition he has it. But is it anything was saved his life? Nothing. Because he mocked the living God. Now if you notice, after the killing Belshazzar, the massive was burned. The bronze gate was burned. The kingdom was utterly destroyed. So why did God destroy such a way that? Because people in the Babylon, they were doing all idol worship. They were doing everything against the God's law. They were doing all black magic and everything. If we look at the history, the Noah's grandson, Nimrod, he built the Tower of Babel. So why Nimrod has to build the Tower of Babel? God has given the assurance, I am not going to destroy this earthly planet with the full of water. But even though God has given the assurance, his name wanted to be glorified. Other nations should know about that we are building the great wall. But Nimrod heard from his grandfather, Noah. But he shared his experience. But still, for his glory, for his honor, he built the great Tower of Babel. The angel destroyed that. In the same place the Babylon was established. Now my dear believers, this land was cursed by the God. This place all the time they were doing against the God's law. So that is why even till today, nobody is living that place. Now we know that the 7 wonders, in the 7 wonders, one of the wonder is hanging garden. It was there in the Babylon. But not even one person was staying there. They believed that Demas was there around that places. Even shepherds, they will not make the tent there. This is the way God cursed this Babylon. Because this Babylon was built against the God. Now, my dear believers, Prophet Isaiah, written 100 years before the Cyrus was born, how the Babylon is going to be defeated. Because the Nebuchadnezzar know about the living God. Nebuchadnezzar might be shared with the Belshazzar. These are the things are happened. These are the things is going to happen. But still, King Belshazzar wanted to enjoy his life. He wanted to spend with the time with the parties and doing all kind of evil things. That is the way his life was ruined. Proverbs chapter 16 verse 18 says, pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before fall. My dear believers, sometimes we think we are greater than God. Sometimes we think, I am doing these great things. But you are not the one who is doing the great things. The God is the one who is using to do the great things. When the pride enters into our heart,